Now, First Alert Camera Network overlooking downtown Cleveland. Few clouds here and there. 78 today. That was our forecast high last night. And by the way, 78 is right on average for this time of the year. Few clouds around tonight. Not as cool. We're going to have a little bit more cloud cover. Winds will be a little bit breezier. That means temperatures won't be as chilly. As we move through the rest of the week, plenty of September sunshine. You like today? Rest of the week's going to be good. The only difference is not as windy and also a warming trend. So we're going to be warmer as we move through the rest of the week. In fact, I think today is going to likely be the coolest day of the upcoming rest of the week, the next 4 days at least, even into the weekend. Temps right now are in the mid-70s, widespread mid-70s. Now, earlier we were talking about that fire here, still following that breaking news here. We picked up the smoke on First Alert Doppler right here. There's Euclid. Here's Interstate 9. You can see the smoke plume there, and I put it in motion for you. Winds have been very brisk this afternoon, so carrying the smoke quickly off to the west towards the Willoughby Hills area right there, potentially even into southwestern Lake County. And that's the breaking news that we're covering right now. Now, this big bubble of hot air off to the west eventually is going to move in. So the crisp, cool air we had yesterday and a little bit today, that will be a distant memory as this big bubble of hot air is going to move in. All right, we love our weather spotters. George in Massillon, 74 degrees, plenty of sun. What about Sue, our newest weather spotter in Kirtland there at 75, 78 and 74 for Herbert, Dennis, and Sandy, 73 for Peter in the Heights. We're in the mid-70s for George and Chris there in North Royalton, and a 77 for Leslie and Freddie and Kenmore. Mid-70s there, Phyllis and Larry in Canton, 76. Patio forecast for tonight, no complaints. Mid-70s, low 70s by 8 p.m. 9 p.m. numbers in the upper 60s to near 70. Few clouds here and there, but overall we are quiet and dry. Tomorrow morning will be chilly, but it will be seasonably chilly. No 40s, I don't think, out there tomorrow morning. 50 to 55. Then along the lake shore, we're even warmer than that with readings around 60. First Alert Future View showing a couple of sprinkles between now and midnight. If we get that very isolated, spotty stuff, not forecasting much of anything courtesy of Lake Erie, then our wind shift tomorrow, and that will bring in some milder air. 75 to 80 tomorrow. New data alert here. This is focused on what to expect for Wednesday. More of the same, more sunshine. And I think Wednesday we pop ourselves into the low to even middle 80s. Now, we've got some activity in the tropics in the western Gulf. This is newly formed Tropical Storm Francine. Will become a hurricane most likely tonight or early tomorrow morning. Big question is, what will Francine do then? Category 1, potentially a Category 2 hurricane here hitting right now. It looks like the Louisiana coast, right along the Texas-Louisiana border. Pretty small, compact storm. Category 2, though, will bring some strong winds, heavy rains, and even some storm surge as well. And then weakening quickly Thursday into Friday, and then just sitting and spinning here from Memphis to St. Louis, likely bringing a lot of rain here to the Mississippi Valley. But right now, the effects for northern Ohio appear to be fairly minimal because most of our forecast models actually show that system basically just disintegrating over the weekend. So we'll keep watching it because a lot of things can still happen whenever you're talking about a landfalling tropical system. But right now it looks like our effects will be minimal. 55 tonight, 79 tomorrow. Sun mixing with clouds. Here's a look at our 7-day. Temperatures mid-80s Wednesday, mid to upper 80s Thursday, low 80s Friday. Clouds associated with Francine right now keeping us dry as we head into next week with temperatures above normal in the lower 80s. Hey, Mark.
Hello, Jay.